to have some of those little things to enjoy and to tend to, but also just to experience the beauty and the smiles and the joys of what God has given us in his creation, and just the joys of seeing a hummingbird. I mean, that's been really, really special to us this year.
Welcome to The Home and the Maker, sharing advice and encouragement about all topics homemaking and homesteading, and honoring the maker in all of it. Join Megan from Shine.fm for today's conversation.
If you find that you don't have a ton of space, maybe your current circumstances are not exactly what you would picture for your homesteading or your homemaking aspirations, good news is I'm there too. And so a lot of people will say, even if you don't have the space, it's important to grow the skills now so that when you do have the space, or you do have more of that lifestyle, that you're able to have those skills, like you've already practiced those things and already know how to do those things. And so in the current season of my life, I do not have all kinds of space. And so I have been learning some of these things, and often in watching homesteading videos as well. Some of the homesteaders will do monthly recaps, or just a recap of the season. So I'm Megan, I'm the host of the podcast. And so that's what I'll be talking about today. My first solo episode. I'm going to be talking about my 2025 garden recap, and also growing skills now for later. But also now, because hey, the things that I am doing now and the things that you might be doing now are definitely beneficial for right now as well. Some nice goodies per se, if you're working in the kitchen, nice goodies you can enjoy now as well. But starting off with the 2025 garden recap that my husband and I have kind of cultivated in a little bit of outdoor space. There's some things that we tried and failed at this year, some things that succeeded, and some things that surprised us. So first, what we tried but failed at, I tried to grow some plants from seed. And so I tried to do chamomile, thinking that would be great for tea, even lavender as well. Try to grow tomatoes from seed, also onions. The chamomile, lavender, it's like all of the little things that we planted to start from seed, they grew. I just don't know if I was watering them consistently enough, or maybe I should have transplanted them earlier than I did, because they did not survive very well outside. The green onions started to grow. I think they might have gotten shaded out by the zinnias. I haven't looked at them in a while, so I don't entirely know how the green onions have done, but a lot of the things that we started from seed didn't do too well. But basil, that is one thing that really has succeeded for us this summer, in that we had a lot of basil. Even a team member of mine at Shine.fm, Kristen, even gave me a basil plant, so we had that, but also some of the basil seeds that I did have planted. And then what was really cool was having some of the basil seeds from over winter. I mean, we really didn't do anything and take out, anything that we had grown last year. Didn't really do mess with much of that until trying to plant seeds this year. And so a lot of basil seeds just kind of grew up. So it was really cool to have those just showing up and to be able to have more basil. So have made some jars of pesto that we have frozen in the freezer. So those have made some yummy dinners so far as we've gotten into those. Cucumber was a new thing for us this year. So something that did succeed for us when my family planted my parents' garden earlier this summer. My dad had an extra cucumber plant, and he was like, you can take that back with you. And I'm like, sure, we'll give it a go. And I had never grown cucumbers this way before growing up for us. It was always just the cucumbers that just kind of sprawled out and took up a ton of space in the garden on the ground, but he said this one would be one that would grow on a cage. And so we bought another. Well, thankfully my husband did. He kind of surprised me with it after work. He had gone to the store and gotten another tomato cage, so that way this cucumber plant vine could climb on it. And so planted that, and we've had a good maybe 4 or 5 that have come from that little cucumber plant. So that is something I had no idea would be so successful in our spot, especially not being in the ground. It was grown from a pot. So it was cool to see that be just so successful, and to have that side by side compared to a grocery store cucumber. And the grocery store cucumber could have been a little bit older, so a little bit more ripe, but even just to see how bright green that the cucumber grown fresh outside was versus the one that grew from the store or came from the store, it was really cool to just be like, this one has quite a crunch. And so it was cool to have that fresh cucumber. Technically, I think they would be pickling cucumbers. Wasn't going to mess with that, but especially with having so few. But it was cool to see that succeed this year. Another amazing thing was the zinnias. Planted a lot more zinnia flowers this year than we had last year. And so it was awesome to see how tall they grew. The different colors, of course, are always gorgeous, but that kind of leads into point number 3 of the 2025 summer is recapping what surprised us. And I think the biggest thing that surprised me and that I love about the garden experience that we had in this year is the fact that the zinnias were so maybe more, I don't know if they were more vibrant or just the fact that we had more of them. But last year we had seen some hummingbirds come by and get some nectar from the zinnias. But this year we saw so many more sightings. And so that was just a huge gift to us to be able to see this beautiful hummingbird. I don't know if it was one or more than one, but it was so cool for my husband and I just to think we've made this little oasis for wildlife and to enjoy a hummingbird. I also looked up the fact that hummingbirds also, they do kind of remember, they have good memories, so they may remember. And also, I mean, it could be also for the male hummingbirds that they remember the territory that they've kind of claimed. But from year to year, they will maybe remember the spots. And so to think too that maybe from last year to this year, they remembered that there were zinnias there could be really cool. And also because we're renting, I also am looking forward to the day when we do get to move into another space, but also just to leave a letter behind for the next tenants to be able to say, hey, if you do plant some zinnias outside, then this might be a spot that the hummingbirds will remember and they may come back. So if you enjoy some wildlife and would like to see some hummingbirds, then you might want to plant some seeds out there just to let you know. So I think that'll be a really cool thing. It's been cool for us to enjoy this. And I already told my husband, like, wherever we live next, we have to plant zinnias right outside the sliding door, because to be able to sit on the couch and to enjoy seeing this hummingbird, I mean, it makes us smile every time. So that's been a huge gift to us in it being able to enjoy just the little garden space that we've created outside. Another thing that surprised us is that last year, my team member had suggested, well, why don't you plant some flowers with your tomatoes so that way it's kind of a natural mulch. It'll hold in moisture because, again, we don't have a yard. We have just a small outdoor space. We've got a lot of everything that we have is in pots. And so we have these grow bags that we were growing our tomatoes in and still are. That's what we're using for our tomatoes. But to plant some alyssum in there is supposedly helpful for keeping the moisture in and also as a natural mulch as well. I did not expect, though, this year that it would just naturally grow back. So that's what happens. So as it's springtime, there's green growing. It's the alyssum that's coming back. So I'm like, well, that's pretty sweet. We don't have to plant that once. That was another surprise for us. Having the basil grow back as, little volunteer basils, that was really cool and surprising as well, because those volunteer basils, they actually grew really big leaves. So that was really cool for me to see just how big that they grew. And I didn't even initially plant them. Another fun thing this year with the 2025 garden, again, in the terms of surprises and wildlife sightings, has been the fact that we've just, I think, maybe either seen more wildlife take advantage of our little bitty garden, and that, unless they're just more active this year, I don't know, but we've seen some finches, some red finches, a goldfinch at least, just enjoying some of our garden as well. And then this year, I don't know what it was about this year in our area, but I feel like I have seen more praying mantises than I have in my entire life. And so it's been neat for, again, as I said before, really neat for my husband and I to be able to enjoy this beautiful little oasis and just the gift in God's creation and his nature that he's given us with our little tiny garden. So even though we didn't have an entire haul from our 2 tomato plants, I mean, really, they were just like little cherry tomatoes and little yellow ones as well. We didn't have a big haul there, just a couple, really. We didn't have, gobs of cucumbers and, we weren't just growing tons and tons of basil, but to have some of those little things to enjoy and to tend to, but also just to experience the beauty and the smiles and the joys of what God has given us in his creation, and just the joys of seeing a hummingbird. I mean, that's been really, really special to us this year. So that's our 2025 little garden recap. So it's not very big. They're just pots. We also, as if you listen to one of the earlier episodes, when my husband and I, we went to the blueberry farm, we did buy a couple of blueberry plants as well. So those are out there. We also have some mint growing out there as well. So those are just some of the other things that we've had growing outside. But as far as growing skills now, that's kind of what this season or chapter of my husband and my life has been, as far as just enjoying what we can in the small space that we have, being patient and waiting for what's next. My husband Garen is way better at that than I am, because I am way more impatient and want to have, the dream homestead. I mean, homesteading on a small scale. I don't know if we'll get into all the things, but having the dreamland now, but being patient and waiting is hard. But to enjoy growing some skills now, it makes me feel good. If you have that little adrenaline burst when you feel like you've accomplished something really cool, that's how it's kind of been for me. So some of this other skills that I feel like in the summer of 2025 that I've learned, or at least that I have attempted and tried, include using a dehydrator. So my team member, who's also really into the homesteading things, she has a dehydrator, which she's used for various things. And for me, it was exciting to be able to try this. And so my coworker let me borrow it for a little bit. And so I was dehydrating even just some things from her little landscape garden as well. She's had strawberries, she has lemon balm. So those were some of the things that I was dehydrating and I have not tried it yet. I have dehydrated the things, but what I was really hoping to do was to kind of do a copycat of a tea. Another team member here at Shine.fm had one time given me these little herbal tea packets. And they were like little samples of various flavors. And one of them I just fell in love with. It was a strawberry apple tea. And the unfortunate thing about that is that company does not sell it in a larger quantity. Like, you have to only buy it through the herbal sample pack. I'm like, I don't want all the samples. I just want the one in a bigger quantity. So I am hoping that when I do attempt to brew this tea with the strawberry leaves and the lemon balm, and I also dehydrated some apple chunks and strawberry pieces as well, I'm really hoping that will kind of resemble the tea that I really, really loved that I cannot purchase in a large quantity. And hey, it's better if you can make it yourself, right? So dehydrated some of those things. My team member also had some echinacea leaves and flowers that I dehydrated, so my husband and I can enjoy some echinacea tea, which he loves coneflowers, so we're gonna have to try that at some point as well. Just hasn't been the right time for tea, just with the timing, but eventually hopefully we'll get there. Dehydrated some mint as well, that also had originally come from my parents' garden. So learning how to use a dehydrator was fun and just felt really cool. Like, I'm learning something new. I've also, this is my second year, and just recently went to the apple orchard and did applesauce by myself. And this is something that growing up was pretty common for my family in the fall. my mom would have that apparatus that cores the apples and also peels the apples as well. And so it was always fun to observe that and to also just enjoy homemade applesauce growing up. And she put cinnamon and sugar in it. And so it was always something special in my family. And so for myself to get to do this is really, really cool to just think back to, or just to even think about the fact that I'm now getting to do what my mom would do for us is really, really cool. And so went to the apple orchard, got some organic apples. There's one that my husband and I found, and we made our second trip there and picked some apples. And so it was great to be able to make homemade organic applesauce out of that we saved some for the fridge and also put some in the freezer so we can enjoy some in a little bit later, but also to buy a pumpkin as well. So something I'd never done before until last year was to actually like roast or bake my own pumpkin and then to turn it into pumpkin puree. So last year was the first time doing that. It was fun. My husband loves pumpkin. It has a lot of nutritional benefits that he could certainly tell you about that I don't have memorized, but I just know it's nutritious. But to also think like I could make my own pumpkin bread with this fresh pumpkin is really cool. So I did that. I believe I did that last year. I did it this year as well. I also, apparently it's okay to freeze. And so I did freeze some that hopefully if my mother-in-law asks me to make the pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving this year, then I will be ready with my fresh pumpkin puree from the fresh pumpkin that we picked out at the apple orchard as well. So that's another thing that I'm excited about, especially with thinking about the future and the hopes of being able to have kids someday and to get to puree some of my own foods for them. So I know how to do the pumpkin now. So that's been another really fun thing as far as learning another skill. That's another item I've been able to add to the list. But the third one, working with sourdough. I don't even know how many years, maybe just a couple of years that I've had a sourdough starter. So I haven't ventured too much into a lot of things as far as there's so much you can do with it as far as, what are they called? English muffins. And I have a friend who does like all the different flavors of bread. So she'll do like a jalapeno cheddar loaf, and she's done lemon blueberry, and so all the different things. I have not ventured so much into all that. I've basically just done artisan loaves and sandwich loaves, maybe here and there have done a couple other things, but this summer I learned how to do naans. And so just kind of a flatbread, and I have done it twice. So I have at least grown from first time to second time as well in learning how to do this, especially on my cast iron, which that in itself is something I'm still learning how to use as well. But it makes me feel really, a lot more like a homesteader and using the cast iron, or like I'm Laura Ingalls Wilder. But it's been fun to learn how to do that. And that is really cool, the recipe I found, because it is like so soft. And it might just be some of the best tasting kind of bread that my husband and I have tasted. So it's been cool to be able to learn how to do that as well, and to also kind of grow a little bit more in proficiency with the cast iron. And I think it uses discard. So it's also another way to use up some sourdough starter, and to just be mindful of just making sure that sourdough starter is maintained and also fed, and that nothing goes to waste. So those are some of the skills in summer 2025 that I have been able to learn, along with the 2025 garden recap. And it's just been something in the season that's been fun. I feel like I need to do more of it, because I've told Garen, like, if you're kneading sourdough, it's just very therapeutic. I don't know if you've done it before, but it just feels really, really good. And it's always just a pleasure and just a joy to be able to just knead some dough. But in this season, in longing for more, and longing for just more land, and longing for just doing more homemaking and homesteading, it's something that I'm needing to learn right now is more patience, in that what God has is in his timing, and what I am dreaming for. I mean, he's got better plans for me than I could ever imagine, but also just especially needing to be patient and needing to be content with what I have right now. So something I'm definitely still trying to learn, because, hey, I'm with you. If you're listening and you're like, I just want the property, the dream house. Yes, me too, for sure. It's hard sometimes to remain content, and just have to pray like, Lord, sustain me until, because sometimes those desires can be so strong and consuming sometimes, but to just, Lord, sustain me in this day, as I'm dreaming of other things. And so that's also been my prayer as well. So yep, I am learning contentment and having to be patient in waiting for these things, just like you might be. But if you listen to other podcast episodes, some great encouragement in them as far as just this reminder of just being content with what God has given me right now, to steward well what God has given me right now. And to I also received some advice from one of the guests on my podcast to wait well. And so those are some great reminders in the season, and also just, of course, to do what you can, like to grow those skills that you want to try and that you might foresee using on your own little homestead. But thanks so much for listening. And if you have any questions about any of the things, or if you're like, hey, what's that recipe? Feel free to reach out. My email is Megan, MEGAN @shine.fm. So @shine.fm. And would love to share that with you if you're interested. And also just grateful that you're listening. And also want to say, if you appreciate these episodes and the content of the ministry of Shine.fm, would love to encourage you to become a part of the Shine.fm family. Next week, the 7th through the 10th, is our Shine.fm fall fundraiser. We're celebrating how God uses Christian music in this ministry to touch hearts and lives. And so it's because of the ministry of Shine.fm that doing this podcast is even possible. And so if you are led to support the ministry of Shine.fm, we are grateful, and you can give online to support the ministry at our website, again, which is just like our name, Shine.fm.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Home and the Maker podcast. And for other podcasts from Shine.fm, visit the Shine.fm podcast channel.